back. I can't seem to quit this project. It was like I'm gonna go watch a movie, and step away, and do something that's not this project. And I start watching this movie, and I'm like, I really want to just finish this project. So back. I I really want this to actually do the Twitter notification um, for the users, and actually mention them whenever whenever their stream goes live. If they have Twitter accounts, I think all the current uh, streamers do, but maybe in the future there won't. But I need to make sure I support both. I went ahead and made some code changes earlier because it was just kind of a quick thing to do. And I tried to do this in kind of a non-breaking fashion. So what I've done here is in the ingestion webhook ingestion function, I have added into the route definition Twitter name and with a question mark, which means it's optional. And that also means that I have to add a parameter called Twitter name to actually accept it. The other things that I did is I added some more logging here, the stream name and the Twitter name. um, when reading the logs, it kind of like had the stream name like all the way to the right of the log, and I was like, what am I doing? I have to either scroll or make the entire message visible, which is kind of painful. So I moved that out to a separate line. But the only other thing that I had to do with this then is since I'm sending the stream object down the queue, I added a Twitter name property to the stream type. I still am not happy with this class name, but I'm going to leave it as is. I'd have to update it in so many places. I don't feel like dealing with it, even though I could like right click and rename it everywhere. So I added this Twitter name string property to the object so that we can keep that going in there. So that was another change. And then in the webhook ingestion at the bottom here, I added some logic that if the Twitter name basically has something in it, then set the Twitter name value and log that we're setting the Twitter name value. So basically this, if I were to launch this right now, it wouldn't break any of the current subscriptions. So it's a non-breaking change to the API. So that piece is good. The Twitch stream event handler didn't change at all because I'm just passing on the stream event, so there's nothing new in that one. But the Twitter event handler has changed, and let me get some more screen time with this. So one of the ideas I had in one of my earlier streams was that talking about actually taking the tweet format or tweet template from an application setting instead of hard coding it in here. So I've done that. I've added a Twitter tweet template application setting and set it in locally and in the remote. It's very similar to what it was, but the other thing that I added in here was defining a username. So this username is set from either the stream, if the Twitter name is not set, basically, if there's nothing in it, then we use the stream name for the stream, for the username. And then if it's has a Twitter name, we do @Twitter name for the username. And that way, like, if they have a Twitter account associated with this, if we've captured that, then they'll basically mention their Twitter name instead of just mentioning their stream name. And then I also went ahead and did a stream URI here just to make it a little easier to see what's happening. So my tweet now is set with string.format, uh, tweet templates, stream URI, and username. So it basically takes that in and formats that. Maybe that's not the best way to do it, but I feel like it's easier than relaunching. Then if I ever need to change the tweet, I can just basically update the app setting, restart the app, and not have to make code changes, commit, and redeploy. Um, I also moved the auth piece beneath the environment check for disable. Yeah, yeah. If I can up that. So like I said, I copied and pasted the Twitter side. I copy and pasted most of this code from a blog um, right here, this blog, and I didn't even check the date on it, and I was like, it could have been published years ago, but the code actually worked. So I was like, yeah, but I was like, I mentioned that the Twitter length was probably bigger now because they keep increasing that. Um, thanks, Thomas. I didn't know what it was, and I didn't want to Google, but I'm going to trust you there. The cool thing about this tweet envy or Twitter envy, if that's what it's called, yeah, tweet envy library is that it'll just truncate your message and not give you any errors. It's meant to be like a plain, very simple, easy to use, no frills library. So um, at least you have to log that it's like that, so it would get truncated and you wouldn't know otherwise. But that's it. I moved this auth after we do the disable notification check. I don't think that this actually does any API calls, but I noticed that this function takes quite a bit of time to run, even when there was no tweets being sent out, and that didn't make any sense because it was just text processing. And I've looked through here, and other than logs, there wasn't anything, so I moved this auth action after that just in case. Also, it makes sense to be much closer to where we're actually sending the tweet out, in my opinion, than to call it way at the above, do some text manipulation, and then make the tweet. So that's the majority of the code changes there, with the addition of Thomas's recommendation of 240 characters. I updated the README to include the new tweet template. So what I need to work on now is the subscription code, because I need to now handle whether or not a Twitter name is available with the user. So that means that I need to make some code changes here, and unfortunately they're less. I don't think there's a way I can do this without breaking, so I have to basically rechange all this. It's a good thing that this isn't like some published module or something like that. Version 0.0.1, right? So Twitch user doesn't need to change, so let me go through these and see what needs to change. Twitch app doesn't need to change. Auth token doesn't need to change. Twitch user doesn't need to change. But register Twitch stream webhook subscription does need to change. So our callback is now going to be different. So I'm going to change this a little bit different. I'm going to move this out. I'm going to do a callback URI inside the body definition here, and I'm going to define it with some logic here. If I haven't added this yet, Twitter name Twitter name, and else do our normal one. Yeah, so basically if a Twitter name is supplied in here, which we need to add beneath here, and I also need to rethink this entire strategy because I can't. This is where I was getting like some thoughts on my head of how I would actually execute this. So right now I'm taking in a string array, which will allow me to do, you know, something like uh, stream name. It'll allow me to just do something like A, B, C. So I'm allowing that right now, along with something like A, B, C, right? So like either of those would work. The problem is now these are two values and they have to match, right? So I can't just like say that everyone has the same Twitter name. So I have an option of changing this to take like create a new type or fake type PS object that has the stream name and the Twitter name, and then looking for it on this, or I can just undo this logic of looping through it and not do that. And I already did that with the unregister because I couldn't do the same thing on the unregister one. So I think that I'm just going to give up on doing it this way and change this around. So what I need to do is change value from pipeline to value from pipeline by property name, and also copy this one just to make it easier. This is not mandatory, but Twitter name. And this can be null or empty. I'm going to allow that because I handle that inside the application. It doesn't matter. And I also have logic in there to handle it, so I don't care if it's null or empty. So that means that to do this right, I guess I could still take these in, but I don't know. I'm just going to do it like this. I need to do some renames on this. Rename it to stream name on all the ones just inside this function. So rename that one, rename that one, rename that one. All right, that should be it. And then I need to remove this for each loop. Fix the indentation here, here, here. So that's a little better. It's maybe not as sexy as doing the other way, but this will be easier. Right now I'm the only one using this, so I can say that and just be like, oh well. So the other thing that I have to do with I have to do kind of the same thing with the unregister. So this kind of changes what has to come out of Get Webhook subscription too, because in that I'm basically see, get, it's down here, right? Yeah, so I'm basically taking the last piece of the URL as if it's their username, and it's not, or stream name. It could be their Twitter name or their stream name, so I need to do some additional logic here to change what comes out of this. So I'm going to just split first and call it parts. And I need to have an example URL of what this is like so I can make sure I've got my parts right. So this is what this is. That's weird. There's some like interesting stuff here. No clue what that is. So I'm gonna do example equal user or stream Twitter. And parts equal example split so parts dot count on this one is 7, and if I do without Twitter, it's oh, I have to actually update it. Okay, let me fix that. Thank you. Hopefully that's a little better. While still being audible. Let me know if that doesn't fix it. So parts.count should be 6. So it's 6 if it's a username only webhook, or a 7 if it's not. So going back up here to get Twitch stream. So I've got this parts now, and I'm going to do a switch statement just because this might change later, and I'll be saving myself some time now. Parts.count condition 6. We need to do the last one is username. So yes, stream name. I should have not changed that. That was fine. Do need to update this though. Twitter name and Twitter name. We set stream name equals parts -1 and Twitter name equals null. And I want to do Twitter name equals null here because I don't want it to pick up some Twitter name from a higher scope or something like that and accidentally enter it here. So the next behavior is 7. So if that is 7, we want to set both of these. This one's going to be -2, and this one is going to be parts -1. Thanks for the follow. So we're basically going to be adding a Twitter name property to that in addition to the stream name, and it's going to be parsed based on whether or not the URL is split and has 6 or 7 parts. And then if it is 6 parts, which means it's a username only, doesn't have a Twitter name on it, then it takes the last item in the parts list and assigns its stream name and Twitter name is null. And then if it's 7, which means that it is both a stream name and a Twitter name URL, takes the second to last as the stream name and the last one is the Twitter name. Updates the object down here and passes it through, along with adding the Twitch app, which we were already doing before. So now we've got the Twitter name and stream name both coming out of the subscriptions that we take in. So now we need to also update the unregister as well and do kind of the same logic. So I'm going to borrow from my register one. The Twitter name. In this one, the internal logic is kind of similar, but I do need to add the same kind of logic from the register Twitch stream. Just hide that for now, so I don't need it just yet. I need to change this to generate the callback URI and then assign it to the hub callback option. So make sure, yes, I am in the right one here. And then instead of this, we do callback URI. All right, so that should change up the code a little bit from what it was. I'm going to fade that all into my session. I'm going to try getting the current subscriptions, which should have null Twitter names on all of them. And I do have null Twitter names on all of them. Let me just make sure that that's not just because I'm doing something crazy there. Make sure that that dot completes just out of paranoia. Yeah, so Twitter name is on there now. So what I do need to do is I need to unregister all my current ones and then re-register them. But before I do that, I want to get everyone's Twitter accounts added on here. And I'm going to have to make this a little bit more painful. So what was that trick, Thomas? Just shift end? Aha! Yep. At stream name. Now, can you do like column copy and column paste in here? I've never figured that out. Column copy and column paste would be kind of useful here, but I'm just going to go in here and do so I need to, instead of just passing in the usernames now, I need to actually pass in these. Uh, I don't know if value by property name works with just hash tables. So rather than find out on the fly, just create these all as PS custom objects. And I'm pretty sure I didn't spell that wrong. Okay, good. It just took a while. All right, so I know mine. I believe Thomas's is the same on Twitter as well. I believe Stevie's is the same. I believe Glenn's is the same, but I don't know. I know that Corey's is, I know that Chris's isn't. Yours is the same? I thought it was just Halbrad. Am I wrong? That's awesome. I'll save time. I believe Corey's is Corey Knox. I'm sure I'm spelling that wrong. So this is going to be fun. I'm going to try to think of a way that to look these up without going really crazy. Let me yeah. How did she get something so small? That's awesome, right? Like, I'm jealous. I want to have a 2-character one. I believe Kevin's is Kevmar. Well, anyways, here's a fun way to do this. It's like just go Twitter Kevin Marquette. Oh, his is the same. That's helpful.
The setting could hardly be more perfect. New eyes, new vision for the world.
Yeah.
Parallel blending of science and art.
Yeah. Is Doug's actually? I thought his was like his name, Doug Finicky. I'm sure I'm saying that absolutely perfectly. I'm really good at pronouncing names, everybody. I bet if I do Doug, yeah, it's D Fink, Finky. Oh God, I should definitely be in charge of pronouncing names. It's a best skill I have. Glenn, I think his is the same. Branding, people, branding. But yeah, his is the same, only with some capsing, which I don't think matters for Twitter names at all. I believe Tyler's is the same. This is some real technical stuff here. Yeah, his is the same, only with some caps. And that leaves the PowerShell team. This one's, I think that they just have PowerShell team, but I'm also not entirely sure that that's the same, because it was yeah. Is this official? Like, they have a, let's see, PowerShell team. This can't possibly be the right one, so. Yeah, there's so few of us, but PowerShell underscore team. That's the right one. All right. Only official. Yeah, I disagree with that. He's J. Cole is not the holder of all things official PowerShell. All right, so let me just make sure that this comes out right. Um, yep. Let me double check Corey's because I didn't check that one properly. Um, so if I spell his name, yeah, Corey Knox. I hope that everyone is okay with me linking their Twitter and their stream name together. But I doubt anyone's going to have any objections. And if they do, I can fix it for them. Stevie, I think, is probably the only person on this list who um, is not as public as everyone else, so I don't know. But, all right. So, because this could blow up with secrets and stuff, I'm going to have to do a little bit of privacy by having you stare at Corey's Twitter page. Now, I'll put that on something else, like some documentation here. That looks good. So that's just to, in case this starts spitting out secrets to the screen, I don't want them being recorded. So I'm going to just run this same command that I had down here and watch everything blow up. First thing I'm going to do, and I know you can't see it, is I'm going to take in all my current subscriptions and unregister them. That should work. Um, uh, Actually, before I do that, before I re-register, I actually need to redeploy, and I can show that. So my code is good, I think, on the C# side of things. Commit this right quick. Yeah. Commit anyways. Push changes. Hide this. Hide this. Go to this. To do actual CI/CD pipeline for the functions. I already put the new app setting into Azure, so it should work. I also saw that they added slots in preview on the Azure functions. That'd be really nice to use. I like the slots feature on um, app services. I found that was a really awesome way of deploying your app, letting it boot up, verifying that it's working by doing some actual integration tests against the development URI, and then um, once you're satisfied, switching the slots. Um, that's really valuable. And then all the settings you can do on the per slot basis to make your app do the right things in the right slot. So that you could have like the uh, dev slot or the stage slot going against a dev and stage database, for example, because it would have that connection string in it instead. All right, so it doesn't seem to have blown up when I launched it, so go back to the terminal here and got to put on the privacy mode, and I'm just going to double check that I've got rid of all my, yes, so there's currently no subscriptions, so I'm going to have to subscribe everything, and hopefully this doesn't blow up on me. I guess real quick, what I can do is go to the Twitch stream event handler, webhook ingestion, sorry, this one, and watch the log stream on it. And maybe we'll get lucky and it'll actually work this time, and you'll see the registration requests coming in. What's nice is since I have OBS open to the side of where I'm working, and when I have the browser up, I can see it even though on my desktop the browser is covered by my VS Code, so that'll be nice to actually have that side by side. So let's watch that, and I'm running the registration code now, and look, stuff is coming in. Are any of them successful? Yeah, and look, the stream name, Twitter name is being listed there. Challenges being sent back. Yeah, so just to recap, what happens is they send this kind of query string to the webhook callback URI, and you're expected to respond with this challenge if you think that it's okay. And for the most part, I'm saying yeah, it's okay, because I don't really care about the subscriptions. I also don't really care about the unsubscriptions. I'm not doing any actions with them yet. The logic's there that I could add actions to happen with them. I could add an additional queue for subscriptions and unsubscriptions and have them file that back. But right now that looks like that all worked. Let me double check the output of here before I all right, yeah, so I can actually show that, no secrets. So this is, I just, ran that piece right there and registered them. So now it's got, callback for Corey, for example, is Corbob Corey Knox, Twitter name, stream name. I added one thing that I did add is I added a 2-string override for the Twitch app when it's created, so that it just outputs Twitch apps instead of outputting the client ID and client secret. So that's just a little bit helpful. But yeah, these look right. I'm going to go ahead and also pull in the subscriptions and display them like this. Yeah, so yep, it's properly got all of these. So what we need to test this is we need somebody to go offline and or go online. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop streaming and then I'll start streaming again and see if this properly sends out a notification that I'm uh, tweeting or whatever. So what I'm going to do first before I do that is I'm just going to get the PowerShell Live up here. It's funny, it did not send out the tweet that I was online this time. I think that I had already done some unregistering tests on me, so I'm not going to worry about that. I guess I am going to real quick make sure that my name was in this list. I built this thing. I kind of want it to work for me. Yes, so I am there. That's good. All right, so let's give this a shot. I'm going to go back on Firefox here, go here, make sure that that's still good. And Twitch stream notification, get on this and look at it as well. This is the actual one that I care about, that it does stuff. All right, so I'm going to stop streaming, wait for about 5 minutes, and then start streaming again. So I'll see anyone who cares enough back here in about 5 minutes.